Hey, and welcome to Matt and Jess TV. I am Matt Roast.
And I am Jessica Bun Bun.
Welcome to our Survivor 48 Episode 7 reaction and review. And if you notice a slight change in our tone here, we are currently mourning the loss of Say from the game, which I know that she's polarizing to some people, but even if you're not the biggest Say fan in the world, she brought content. She brought discussion. I do not like it when every single person on a Survivor season plays the same way, or they're all just super meta game bots who are just trying to do strategy. Say was very entertaining.
She was so entertaining. Say all day. I'm really going to miss watching her on the show. I know not everybody liked her, like you said, but I really enjoyed watching her. I thought she was fun. I thought she was entertaining. She, spoke to us as the viewers in a way that felt very honest, which I always appreciate as someone who really loves Big Brother and loves the diary rooms. I love it when there's confessionals. It feels like I'm playing the game with Say.
Yeah, and I just have so much respect for how hard she played constantly. Like, I know you can win Survivor by just sort of taking a backseat and coming to play at Final 7 or just making a couple little select moves, but you could see she was just out there to have so much fun, and you could see the disappointment in her face when she was voted out. She was really classy as she left. She just realized this was a game. It's just a game. But while I'm in this game, I am going to do every single thing that I can.
These two eliminations were not surprising.
No.
I mean, it really felt like this is where it was going to go. I know the show really tried to be like, oh, it could be Shaheen, it could be somebody else. It was like, it'd be great if it was. But it really feels like these are the two moves. And it's interesting because, of course, Cedric and Say, they did work together for a brief period of time, and then they were just throwing votes back and forth. So the fact that they both went in the same episode, it's bittersweet.
Yeah, it's from these people got voted out perspective. This is not a surprising end to the episode. It also feels like a pretty cowardly move by some of the players. I will give the Survivor editors a little modicum of respect for this episode because I did not think that Say was going home at any point over the course of this. I knew she was in trouble, but the thing is, and we'll get more into it, is just that we kept seeing all these little edits of Mitch and of these other people, and it really felt like we were getting set up for a Shaheen and Mitch being voted out at the end of this.
Yeah, I mean, was Say really the right move over Mitch? I mean, your guy Joe said it twice in this episode that he does not want to be sitting at the end with Mitch. Mitch is very social. He's super likable. He has a great story. Chrissy said it best. I can't believe I'm agreeing with Chrissy, where she's just like, okay, if everybody's playing a nice game and you get to the end, then the best story wins. And she is not wrong.
No, she is not wrong at all. But I don't think these are the right moves. We will dive more into everything that happened here. But before we do, be sure to hit that subscribe button because we have so much more Survivor 48 coverage coming up here. We also are planning Big Brother this summer. And if you guys love Black Mirror, and everybody should love Black Mirror, it is about to premiere on Netflix. We are going to be diving into all of those episodes, including the much anticipated sequel to USS Callister, an iconic episode of that show.
Yeah, also coming up is Dexter Resurrection, Alien Earth. We're going to have all of that going on here at the channel. And The Last of Us is starting up this Sunday, and we will be here with videos every single week. So hit that subscribe button. Follow us over on our Patreon. We are covering The Pit over there, which is wrapping up. Bosch Legacy also wrapping up next week. However, we have a poll going on there right now for our Patreons to choose the next show that we are going to cover over there. And the three shows that everybody is voting on right now are Criminal Minds, Andor, and Murderbot. Oh my goodness. Listen, the trailer came out for Murderbot today. I was on the fence about Murderbot. I was like, it's got a great title, but I don't know. And then I saw that trailer and now I'm a fan.
The moment I saw the title Murderbot, I know it's based on source material, but I just saw the title and I was like, okay, I'm in. You don't need to tell me anything else.
Yeah, no, it looks really good.
All right, well, thank you guys for your support over there. But okay, let's just continue having our Say Love Fest here before we get really sad at the end of this.
Yes.
was dying on this hill in this last review that it was like, okay, Say had to have been told about this Cedric plan and that this was something that they just pulled the wool over her eyes. And instead, it's just she's being petty because she's upset that Cedric has cast all these votes with her. There's a part of me that's just like, okay, is this the best strategy in the world? No, but from an entertainment standpoint, it was hilarious. And I'm just sitting back and being like, thank you, Say, for thinking of us, the Survivor viewers. I can't even be mad at you.
Listen, I completely understand it. He's thrown votes at her multiple times now. She wanted to just sort of, as she said, get her licks in. Yeah. But it also created some chaos within him where he was really like, I don't understand who's after me. Why would my name be out there? And it really put him on edge. So, I mean, it worked out in that way too.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me a little bit. We see this more often in Big Brother than Survivor, but I think it should happen more in Survivor as well, where you just see people cast these hinky votes on eviction night, and then everyone in the aftermath is just like, who voted for me? And why? If you know where all the votes are going, and that's a very big if, because, you know, you can end up getting egg on your face severely doing this, but just rogue votes are fun. Especially when she said she wrote it in different handwriting, because that's the big thing. People kind of get to know, especially when you're Say, and you've been to like a million tribal councils. They know what your handwriting looks like.
It was so smart. But even Cedric being like, oh, it was nice handwriting, so it must be a woman. And it was. But I'm sitting here being like, oh my God, I had to take like extra tutoring to be able to like get my handwriting to even be legible. And at 50, it still sucks. Like, I think it's just, it's a stereotype that women always have great writing.
I have pretty good cursive, Cedric. I'm just going to throw that out. My regular handwriting is trash. I'm not going to sit here and defend that.
All of my handwriting is trash.
But I can do pretty good cursive. But yeah, I was very entertained about that by Say, and I do think there's a part of her that was out there thinking, you know, I would want to make this game exciting if I was sitting at home watching this show, because I think these are probably the players that Say looks up to on some level. And I do think that,
and a lot of us do too.
Yeah, and we'll get more into this later on in the video, but it's one of the reasons why, despite her going where she went, I mean, before the jury, which just infuriates me, I still think that Say has a chance of coming back for another season.
I absolutely agree. I mean, as far as not having her on the jury, for us, me, the watcher, I hate this that she is not on the jury. She is so entertaining. But as players, I mean, she does hold grudges, right? Do you want to have done her dirty in the game and now she's holding on to it and she's in jury and you're in the final three and now you don't get a vote because of that? I mean, I don't want that risk. I am not surprised that Say ended up going home. She said it herself. She's, you know, a cat with 9 lives. She's gotten through so many tribals, but she's had her name written down so many times. It was only a matter of time.
This just wasn't the right time, but okay, all right.
And I think she knew the minute that she saw that Mitch blocked her vote.
Yeah, that's a pretty clear
that she was like, oh, okay.
All right, well, let's get into, first and foremost, we have 2 groups of 6, and we're having 2 separate tribal councils again. It's like, okay, Jeff, this would be a bigger surprise if you had not done this before, but you have done this before. So nothing is that inherently exciting about this as an idea. I just kind of like everybody voting together at the merge. Like, what can I say?
Yeah.
I'm a simpleton that way. But
listen, if you just want to have 2 different tribes and just make 2 different tribes, just stop it.
Okay, well, here are the groups here. We'll get into that first and foremost. We have group 1, Shaheen, Sitcom David, Cedric, Kyle, Camilla. Shocking, Kyle and Camilla always ending up on the same group together.
Team Guyana.
And then Mary, who is no longer apparently on the show in terms of the edit. And then we have group 2, where we have Say, Eva, Joe, Mitch, Chrissy, and Star, who... Star, I adore you. I adore everything about you. I adored her confessional in this episode where she's just like, I'm not playing for the jury. I'm playing so that I can be there and I can speak in front of the jury. It's like, man, Star, you are growing on me more and more and more every single episode.
I am Team Guyana, but if Star doesn't win this game, like, I'm going to be so upset. I absolutely love her. She also speaks to us in confessionals like we're playing with her, and I really like that. And I love that she's I'm not here to be on jury. I'm here to be in the final three. And that's the attitude you have to have.
It's weird. Sometimes I just find myself rooting for people who I think I would be friends with outside the game.
I know.
And like, there's a part of me that feels like I would be buds with Joe, even though Joe and I have very little in common. But I feel like I would be friends with Star. I just think she's very likable.
I would be friends with Star in a second.
Yeah, it just feels like she just has a really underrated social game right now. But we have this challenge, which, okay, let me just say, I'm not macho enough to enjoy this challenge as much as Probst enjoyed this challenge, where it really just became, look at these two hulking men up here flexing their muscle. It's like, okay, it's an impressive physical feat. I will not, I'm not going to take that away from David or Joe. I do not need to sit here and watch them be like, and like doing all this posing while they're doing it. It's like, okay, guys, we get it.
Yeah, I mean, that's a little bit of just a mind game as well to try to get the other one to, you know, tap out over some craft services food. We've got peanut butter and chips. I was just like, you have got to be kidding me. Yeah. But I mean, also it makes it that the first tribe that's going to tribal council say she's not on the jury.
Yeah.
The second group that is going gets a jury spot, and that is Cedric.
Yeah, we really do have to sort of get into the psychology of this decision making with Probst for this challenge, because
it's so unfair.
The jury, non-jury part, like that's also real. That's really, really annoying. But it's like that's the whole stakes of it. So you have peer pressure if you are Joe and David at the very end, because you know you want to make sure that your group, no matter what, gets to be on the. But then, yeah, you have the weakest reward known to mankind. Now, I'm sure if you're out there and you're really hungry, you appreciate this. But Probst saying, "Do it yourself, peanut butter and jelly," I'm just like, I could do that when I was 4. This is not that impressive that you could have a, you know, do-it-yourself peanut butter and jelly.
Listen, peanut butter is a great protein. I understand. I've said this before. We've seen challenges where people are like after the peanut butter because it is such a good protein to be able to have out there.
Yeah.
At the same time, it feels very much like craft services table where you go there and there's some peanut butter, some bread, some chips, maybe a piece of fruit if you're super lucky. I was just like, this is weak sauce.
Okay, there's one thing about this entire challenge sequence that I am ashamed to admit that I like as much as I do, just because I have been on here for years complaining about how the new era of this game is too nice, too much winking at the camera, being like, we're on the show Survivor. I really appreciated Shaheen making all the like tribal council intense man music, and then it felt like he actually only did it twice, and the edit was just like going back and trying to make a song out of it, which I just thought that was funny.
Let's talk about Shaheen for a second, because the minute that it was at the beginning of this episode where he's like, I'm controlling the tribe, I was like, oh, is he actually going in this episode? Because that happens a lot with the edit. So it was nice that the editors were like, we're going to pull one over on you. We have our normal editing where that would normally be the case, but not today.
That was the biggest surprise of me of this entire episode. I am just so conditioned. And I think because the edit on Shaheen so far has been that he seems like he's a pretty good player. It seems like he's pretty well liked. You know, I don't dislike Shaheen from the outside. Yeah, I know he looked in Kyle's bag, but one, that's a part of the game at this point. And two,
it is.
The only criticism I have for Shaheen is you didn't actually do that good of a job because you missed it in his shoes.
Yeah, I know, right?
So it's just like, what gives with that?
Yeah, I think it's just with the edit of the show, with him being like, I'm controlling a tribe. I thought that's where we were going. But I mean, David said that at one point as well at the tribal where he was just like, yeah, I've got immunity and I feel like I was running the game. I hate it when people are like that. It has always been a bit of a bee in my bonnet where it's just at that point, the ego is just too big for me to get behind you. I've been on a ride with David where I felt bad about what happened with him and his girlfriend. I felt like he was being too much about sort of sitcom Dave, that he's playing up his part too much. I hate the Integrity Alliance, especially with him kind of like, well, maybe I will flip on Shaheen. I'm like, okay, where's your integrity now, Dave? Like, I just can't get behind Dave. I am sorry, Dave. I'm sure you're a nice guy away from the show, and that's fine. You seem like a nice guy on the show, but like, you're all over the place. I just can't get behind you.
David's destiny. I'm going to sort of look into the future as the possible series finale of sitcom Dave here. There's one of two endings to this show, Dave. either you're going to be blindsided because your head gets so big you're not going to be able to actually see what's going on in the game, or you're going to make it to the end. And at Final Tribal Council, you're going to be like, hey guys, you remember when I liked milk? You remember how I played so hard and I had so much integrity? And everybody's going to be like, you didn't have that much integrity, Dave. You know,
No.
did this, that, or the other thing. And he's not going to own it. And then he's not going to get any votes. And then he's going to lose because for me, David seems like the sort of player who's a little bit incapable of admitting that they're playing a more cutthroat game than they are.
Yeah, the fact that when Kyle was kind of like, okay, this might be a chance that we can get out Shaheen, he's talking to Camilla and it's like, okay, this is how we can play it. You know, you can go and like feed Dave this false information about him maybe having this idol and see if we can turn Dave. And as soon as Dave was kind of like, I'm considering this, I'm like, your integrity alliance is out the window. You cannot sit at the end and say that. Even if he didn't cut him, which he didn't, the fact that he was considering it, stop. The integrity is out the window, and that is okay.
Yeah.
It's all right to play this game cutthroat. It is Survivor. I agree. I can't believe I'm saying again, I agree with Chrissy. It is okay to do this on this show.
That's the most terrifying thing about this episode is how many correct points Chrissy made over the course of it. But
going into this next episode, if they don't start cutting some of these stronger players, they are going to get to the end. Like, if I was everybody sitting on the bench watching this Joe and David showdown of strength, I would be sitting back being like, looking around at the rest of us, kind of like, no, like a lot of these challenges are very physical. And if these two guys keep going forward, they are going to be able to just win immunities all the way to the end. And there's no way to get them out.
Okay. I'm going to put on a tinfoil hat here because there's something that I would have done in this game if I was Dave or perhaps Joe. And I don't think Joe would do this because Joe said, you know, specifically to Probst that he's fighting for his family and all this other stuff. And, you know, that's fine. But if I am sitcom Dave in this moment, I already have immunity for myself. I'm good. I'm not going to make it too obvious. I'll stay on there a couple of minutes after my immunity is won. I am being like, oh, my muscles, I'm cramping, you know, they're all for show. And I would get out of that challenge as fast as possible at that point, because there's no point in making yourself an even bigger threat. You're already safe. You're already going to make it to the jury. You know, I know it sucks for whoever's in your group that they wouldn't make it to the jury if you lose, but that's not really your problem, Dave. Just throw the challenge at that point.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I just feel, especially with this challenge where it is two, you know, beefy guys that are holding on for so long, I would be concerned if I was either of them looking at the people that are sitting there where I'm just like, I'm proving that I am a beast in this, and now it's individual immunities. This could be a problem for me.
Yeah, there's a fine line between being impressive and it being annoying. And I think for the other players in the game, it kind of teetered to that line at the end where it's like, okay, these guys are still going. We can't get rid of either one of them. This stinks. It's really annoying. What are we going to do about them moving forward? Like, I think all of these questions are going to come up in the next episode now.
I still like Joe, but I am really off Dave.
Okay, here's the thing with Joe, and I mean, I'll take off the tinfoil hat. Maybe I'll put on a psychology cap for a moment. I don't know if that's a thing. But we get through this sometimes in Big Brother too, and I've especially found myself with this, where I enter a season rooting for somebody, and then they end up being in power for a little while. And once you're in power, a lot of the warts start to come out, and sometimes people definitely do things that make me root against them, but sometimes it's just like, we're all kind of psychologically bred to want to root for the underdog. And I think that's part of why I may be gravitating more and more towards Star every single week, just because, you know, I know Star is not on the bottom of this group, but it certainly doesn't feel like she's at the top. And Joe is pretty clearly at the top to me at this point. He hasn't done anything wrong. He hasn't done anything to like make me vehemently dislike him. It's just this game is more fun when you see underdogs kind of perform and stick around for a while. Like, I'm still rooting for Joe. I like Joe, but if Joe wins, I don't want it to be boring. I want there to be some serious like pressure. It's kind of like Derek's season of Big Brother where he just steamrolled everybody. Like it wasn't exciting because it was so obvious he was just going to win the whole time.
I love Derek. He's great.
Okay.
He played such a good game. I understand that it wasn't like the most exciting. It wasn't like watching Say, but Derek played such a solid game. It was so fascinating. I'm a Derek fan.
The funniest thing to me was that I vehemently disliked Derek coming out of Big Brother 16, and the Traitors won me back over on
love
Derek.
him on the Traitors as well. Oh my goodness.
He didn't even win the Traitors. It's like now I'm Team Derek, even though I was so irritated at him that whole season of Big Brother. But yeah, that's kind of where I am with Joe. And I think Joe still has a good chance of winning, but at the same time, him doing so well in that challenge doesn't help him. His obvious alliance with Eva doesn't help him. There's just like all these little things. It's like, if you don't get rid of Joe over the next couple of weeks, like, what are you doing? He's so easily going to win if he's at the end.
If you don't get rid of him in this next episode, there's a lot of people that are in trouble, and Mitch is definitely one of them. I mean, he said it multiple times.
Yeah.
I don't want to sit at the end with Mitch. Nobody should want to sit at the end with Mitch. He is so likable. He's so social. He's got a great story. He's just a great player. He's very strategic. Nobody wants to sit at the end with him, and I totally agree. But Mitch is not the only person that has all of those qualities where you don't want to sit at the end with them. I don't think anybody wants to sit at the end with Joe either. No. He also has a really great story. He's very social. He's very kind. I wouldn't want to sit at the end with Joe either.
This is the best thing about this season right now. And I say this still being very upset about losing Say, but it's just that there's a ton of people left who I think can actually win this game. And I mean, actually in the sense of they have a decent edit, but it also feels like they're likable and they could pull this off. Like Joe could easily pull this off. Mitch could do it. I think Eva could do it. I mean, she certainly has a great story. Both of your Team Guyana members, I think they could both win.
They're playing so well.
Okay. It's Team Guyana corner now. I'm just going to let you cook here for a moment.
I was so excited seeing this move. Kyle is right. He's like, yeah, I'm part of this alliance with Shaheen, but I don't want to always be looking over my shoulder with him, and I will be, so maybe it's the time. It was cool to see him talking to Camilla. I was like, okay, what's our plan going to be? Oh, let's make up this lie and see if we can turn David. I think the issue was that it's trying to turn David, and I think that's just where it landed of why they weren't able to get this moving.
Yeah, I still think it was a brilliant idea that they
It was a great shot.
It was so smart. I think the big reason why it was so smart is that it seemed like they didn't just push it together, so they're kind of still keeping their alliance a secret from everybody else.
Ow!
I know! This is why they're so brilliant, and the other thing that was just so great about it is it doesn't seem like Camilla in particular, and I will say this, and this is no offense to Kyle at this point, but I think Camilla is the real mastermind of Team Guyana at this point, and I think she's very, very smart.
She is.
Just this whole notion of you don't throw people's names out there and you don't accuse them of doing it X, Y, and Z every single week because then nobody trusts you, but you do it rarely and occasionally. And I'm surprised people don't do something like this more where it's like, I don't know if Shaheen has an idol, but he showed some idol-like tendencies once upon a time. Shouldn't we be worried about that?
Yeah, I think it was a really smart move. They shot their shot. David wasn't having it at that point, and it played out the way that it played out. But if they were able to really get their way in there with David, this could have actually played out, and it would have been the better move because some of the more physical players need to go. And I know even Shaheen was kind of saying that as well, where he's like, we're going to be all at the end with a bunch of really physical players. And while I'm a physical player, I would be the physical player at the bottom of this list. So I'm worried.
Yeah, there's a big part of me that's just sitting here and being like, okay, Shaheen, if you're worried, why didn't you try to make at least some sort of bigger move at this point? Because this Cedric move is such a waste. And
what a snore for no reason.
Yeah, and I'm not sitting here, being like, oh, I think Cedric's great entertainment. I need to see him on the rest of the season. Like, he's fine. He's not he's not glorious entertainment, but it's just he's not a threat to really anybody.
No.
I know David has immunity. Like, I know you can't do anything about him, but and you might want to cover your ears for a moment
If you
here.
say
They
no,
they should have targeted Kyle.
oh my
Kyle
God,
is a
stop.
good. He did well in that challenge. He has shown a level of physical aptitude. Like Shaheen was on that tribe where Kyle played the idol. He knows he might not know Kyle and Camille are that close, but he knows what Kyle is capable of. So it's just like, you're on a tribe with Kyle, and you decide that Cedric, who doesn't have anyone, who Say doesn't even trust, you're like, that guy is a problem. It's just like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, I think what Shaheen was saying, where he's just like, I need to trust the people that I'm working with. I have to just do that and hope that it plays out. And that's what he had to do.
Yeah.
And it worked out.
It worked out for you now, Shaheen. But here's my take on Shaheen right now. If you don't make another like an actual bigger move over the next week or two, you're not going to win this game, and you shouldn't win this game, because the only way Shaheen's going to win is if he pulls off some sort of like big strategic master class here. He's not a Joe or a David. He's not going to win every single challenge. I'm not saying he's out of shape, but he's not Mr. Muscle Man, I'm going to dominate the rest of this game.
No, so they have to start getting rid of some of the physical players or everyone's going to lose.
Yeah.
That's why this game is kind of skewed to be a bit unfair to people like me, non-athletes, people who just like to sit on their couch. This is not the game for me.
No, it's not the game, especially this episode where they have some challenges that feel a little bit more fair than this one, where there's like a puzzle component.
This was not fair.
No, this really...
Someone like me, I'd be out before it started.
Yeah, this was just not good, not capable for anybody else to do anything to stand a chance. But okay, that's the demise of Cedric, but we'll circle back now to Say as we do get closer to the end of all of this, because like seeing it be unanimous for Say in this way, like it really, really shocked me, just because of everything we've said already about Say and the amount of screen time that she has received, but also then the threat level of Mitch. It's just that I recognize that they're saying, okay, Say is unpredictable, X, Y, or Z, but this is the biggest argument to keep Say. As long as she is in the game, she's always going to get votes. And even if you are somebody like a Joe, one of these big muscle people, the idea that Say could be as big of a threat as you, that's incredible. And you should want that.
I agree. I think that she is a big threat, a big target that could be bigger than a lot of other people. And that is good to have in the game, because then it gets you further another week, another week, another week. I think it's just, it was her time. And I feel really bad saying that, because Say all day, I really, really like her and I really enjoyed watching her. Yeah. But there's only so many weeks that you can get a pile of votes and skate by. Eventually, you are just going to get got, and this was it.
Okay, so we'll have a couple of things here. Speaking long-term and historically here, I think we're both in the same boat here, that Say does need to play Survivor again. Yeah. I don't know if it's going to be season 50, depending on how they're going to bill all of that with legends. Like, did she make it far enough to be considered a legend? Like, that's obviously for Probst to decide. But if you're ever going to do a season of like people who went out before the jury, I think Say is probably the first person that you call, because she made such a big impact in a little amount of time. Yeah. Also, can we now say that the original Vula is one of the worst tribes of all time? Because, yeah, I know that there's been tribes where it's like they've been picked off even more. Yes. But the idea that it's like, okay, we have one person from the original tribe still in this game. And ironically, it's Mary, who was I love
Mary.
I like Mary, too. I don't know what in the world Mary is actually currently doing on Survivor, but she's still there.
Yeah, she's still there. She's not being targeted. I mean, she's done a good job. She's one of these people that started at the bottom. She wasn't part of the alliance. The fact that she is still here, she gets all the credit in the world. Take your flowers, Mary. Like, she has gotten herself out of so many sticky situations to not even be on the radar at this point. I love that for you.
Yeah, I hope it goes well for you, Mary, moving forward, mostly because I don't want there to be a boring steamroll the rest of the way. It's like this episode had some enjoyable moments, but at the same time, this is the second studied episode of Survivor where it's like you could have predicted going into it that we were going to be losing Say and Cedric. Like it's not, there's nothing that's like jaw dropping about that.
No.
But that's where we are coming out of Survivor 48 episode 7. But let us know, are you sad to lose Say? Are you sad to lose Cedric? Who are you rooting for moving forward? Did you like Shaheen's song during the challenge? Let us know. Hit that subscribe button and support us further. Join our Patreon. That link is in the description. We are covering there The Pit, Bosch Legacy. Like Jess said, there is a poll there for what show we're going to be covering on Patreon next. Thank you so much for your support. We will see you here next time.